Hey there, Annie Gishuru here, racial equity coach for online business owners who are ready to build a business that is racially equitable so they can be intentionally inclusive. Today's lesson is specifically for women of color coaches. Now, one of the things that I have seen coming up in conversations with some of the women of color that I am supporting as a one-to-one business coach is their ability to put their hands up when opportunities are presented to them, not feeling as though they're good enough. Now, I know these are issues that we all face as human beings, particularly as women, when we feel like we need to tick all the boxes before we can put our hand up for an opportunity that is being presented. But for women of color, there are added barriers and challenges and setbacks that we experience that many times see us not participating or putting our hands up because there are things that we still haven't dealt with. The systems that have been built without women of color in mind, have been built without people of color in mind. And so that makes it extra difficult. So it's not just a thing where one has to navigate on a personal level, but it's also systemic. And the things that are systemic, we don't have control over. And so it requires a lot of inner work to be done. And so today in this lesson, I want to share with you 4 barriers that get in the way of women of color putting their hands up for opportunities and what you can do. This will not cost you money. It will not cost you anything, just your time. So you pay attention and see if one of these things resonates with you. Barrier number one that gets in the way is space. When they think of the spaces that they will be occupying if they put their hand up, and in particular, if that space will see them be the only person of color, there is always this feeling of standing out for the wrong reasons, being in a space where people may not understand you, being in a place where people may not be comfortable to be with you. And this brings up all sorts of feelings where it doesn't allow you to play your best game, so to speak. It doesn't allow you to bring your best self into the room and whatever is being shared for you to kind of be part of that discussion fully. There's an element of always holding yourself back just because you feel like you don't belong. And so space, containers where one is not seeing themselves represented really plays a huge barrier in terms of putting your hand up. The other aspect that gets in the way is language, particularly when language is not your English is not your first language. There's a self-consciousness that comes up. For me, English is not my first language. I speak 3 languages. And there's always a dance in terms of, well, how am I going to speak when I am speaking English? There's a way that I speak when I am, facing camera and I'm delivering lessons. And there's a different way that I speak when I'm speaking to my Kenyan friends with my English not being so prim and proper. And so when it comes to putting up your hand for opportunities, the language factor comes up, the kind of grammar that you're using and how will that be perceived if you say things the wrong way? Might it make you look less intelligent? The third aspect that gets in the way, which is very much related to language, is your accent. There's this feeling that if you don't have an English accent that is either, like American or European, British, the Queen's English, so to speak, then your English is less than. And so that stops a lot of women of color from putting their hands up for opportunities because they feel like how they will speak will make people perceive them as less intelligent. And the other thing that is kind of what encompasses all of these things that I've mentioned is mindset. The feeling of overall not being good enough, that you need to have attained certain things before you can put your hand up, particularly if you're new to the coaching space. You're an emerging coach. You've only been in business for a few months or a few years, and you just feel like, I need to do more. I need to have more clients, or I need to be earning a certain amount before I can put my hand up for an opportunity to be a speaker, to be a guest on a podcast, to contribute to an article, to collaborate with, certain brands. I need to be at a certain level. And those are things that I help my clients on a one-to-one basis be able to, unshackle those self-limiting beliefs so that they can fully step into their calling of being a coach and really begin to, take ownership of the space that they occupy. It takes time, but it requires support. And that's the same thing that happened to me. For me to get to where I am right now and to be confident in putting out content in this way, which has led to, clients finding me and us working together, it has required for me to step outside of my comfort zone. And it will require you to do the same. That is why I'm offering 3 45-minute sessions with women of color to support you on your coaching journey. If one of these things is coming up when it comes to, opportunities that might be passing you by, or opportunities where you thought, I'm definitely not a candidate, I'm not even going to think about that, I'd love us to spend some time talking about how to unshackle those self-limiting beliefs and begin to exercise that muscle called confidence, because we need to see you out there doing your thing, sharing your gifts, because you're needed. And we can't sit back and say that we don't see ourselves represented if we're not willing to step up and represent. Right? So all the information is below this video. I'd love to have that chat with you, and look forward to hearing from you.